All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Third Thursday on this beautiful September Thursday morning. My name is Ellen Hill. I'm the Training and Compliance Coordinator for the Office of Downtown Development at the Department of Community Affairs. With us from our team is Elizabeth Elliott. She is our Historic Preservation planner and other duties as assigned. And then Tess Harper is our marketing and communications coordinator. Ebony is actually in Gainesville this week doing placemaking today, so she's not with us. It's just the three of us from our team. And I think I saw Kathy Papa on there from our regional team. I didn't see any more of our regional reps on here, but welcome, Kathy. We're glad to have you. And this is Third Thursday. So I think what we're going to do today, what we are going to do today is talk about assessments. But before we get started with the presentation on your annual assessments, I wanted to just give a few updates and announcements from our team, and then give GDA a chance to give some updates if they'd like to. I saw Renee on here and I see Emily. But really, we don't have a whole lot going on. We're getting towards the end of the year, so we're getting ready to gear up for assessments, and we're super excited about that. But before we kick into assessment season, we do have Mobilize Main Street coming up in 2 weeks. And if you looked at your email in the last few days, you've probably seen an email from me that said we opened up a couple of extra spots. So if you wanted to come and didn't have an opportunity to sign up when we first opened registration for Mobilize, I encourage you to do that if you have a chance to come. It's a great training opportunity for the network. We'll be in Gainesville, Hartwell, and Dahlonega this year. All three are just amazing communities. And we just are really looking forward to that time spent together. If you've never been, it is like boots on the ground. We're going to visit all three communities. We're seeing projects that are happening. We're talking to the people who are developing them and the city representatives as well. And it's also a really great time for networking and just checking out communities that you don't normally get to. So if you have a chance to come, check your email and you can see the registration link in your email. And with that, I don't think we have any more. Elizabeth or Tess, y'all have any extra updates from our office? Okay. And then Renee or Emily, if y'all want to hop in with some GDA updates, well, I'm glad to give you the floor.
Okay, great. Well, I'll get started and I'm sure Renee can clean up after me and be sure that she announces any things. But my name's Emily. I hope we got a chance to meet at the GDA conference that was held in Thomasville last August. So first, just want to say thanks to everyone who attended the conference. It was a really incredible time for all of us to get together and get to network and learn from each other and connect. So thank y'all for attending that. And if you haven't had a chance to fill out that survey, please do so that we can be sure that we take your feedback into account for our next conference and next event. I also wanted to say thanks to all of you who donated a basket for the silent auction. We raised over $8,000 for our scholarship fund, the Adam Edge Scholarship, which was really incredible. So if y'all are not familiar with that scholarship, it is available to you as GDA members to use for training opportunities. So you can use it for local in-state trainings or national trainings. So definitely visit our website, look that up, and take advantage of that as you can. And we right now are in the midst of our fall regional meetups. We've had 2 great meetups at Sandersville and Gray. So thanks to everybody who's come to those, and thanks to Carson and Ashley for hosting those. They were great events. And then if you haven't attended a regional meetup, you still have an opportunity to do so. You can go visit Taylor and Thomaston on October 8th. So if that's something you're interested in and want to take advantage of, please sign up on our website, and you can do that. And then finally, we have our certified downtown professional classes coming up for November. Those will take place in Canton, November 12th through 13th, and the registration will open for those classes on September 30th. So lots of good stuff coming up, exciting things. So even though conference is over, we still are doing a lot of stuff through the end of the year. But I'll turn it over to Renee if she has anything that I missed or wants to shout out anything else.
Nope, great job. And just want to thank again the cities of Sandersville and Gray for those awesome regional meetups. Looking forward to seeing some of you in Thomaston.
Great. Well, with that, we will get started in on our little presentation about annual assessment. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right, so on track for success, getting prepared for your annual assessment. What we're going to cover today is the overview of the annual assessment process, what to expect from that, where you can find some resources, how you can make sure you're ready, and then what your next steps look like. All right, so as far as annual assessments go, all communities, no matter what your designation is, must complete an annual assessment. Regions 3 and 4 will be presenting this year in person. And if you don't know what region you're in, we're going to go over that in just a few minutes. But just know that the in-person assessments will be in regions 3 and 4. The rest of you will have to turn in just the documentation online. Everything as far as documentation is due on January 15th, 2025. That's the same year it is every year. So just remember to keep that date on your calendar. And the 2025 assessment this year will be based on the 2024 information for your program year. So we always do that the year before. We're presenting on, the year before. And then the biggest tip and trick of this is do not wait till the last minute to get started. This year's assessment is going to look a little bit different in that you're going to have to fill out that online form that we did for you this year, and it's going to take you a little bit of time. And we're going to go over that in a few minutes, but I just want to really stress not to wait until the last minute. Requirements for the designation. If you're a startup or an affiliate program, just make sure that you're completing the annual assessment checklist, which will be and you'll find some links to that in the resources tab in your Dropbox. We'll get it sent to you. You're going to submit documentation through Dropbox. You don't have a presentation to worry about unless you're invited to apply for classic designation. Affiliate programs must complete that online self-assessment. Our startups, we encourage you to do it just as a good practice, but you're not required to do the online self-assessment, but our affiliate programs are. And then you are required to complete and submit all your monthly reports. I send a reminder to everybody every month if I haven't gotten it. And then you must submit your 2025 Main Street Network annual salary and program survey. For our Classic and Gems community, it's basically the same thing. The only difference here is going to be that you're required to present once every 3 years for your programs. So you must complete that online checklist or your assessment checklist. You must submit your Dropbox documentation. You've got to do your online self-assessment. You're required to complete all your monthly reports. And then you must submit that annual network salary and program survey. All right, so if you didn't know what region you're in, if you were in region 3 or 4, these are our communities that will be presenting to us in person this year. So we've got Canton, College Park, Douglasville, Fayetteville, Hampton, Hapeville, Jonesboro, Lawrenceville, Locust Grove, McDonough, Stockbridge, Stone Mountain, and Swanee are all in region 3. And then Bowden, Carrollton, Griffin, LaGrange, Thomaston, and Villa Rica. As you can see, this is all of our metro Atlanta communities. And so we're looking at you guys this year. And if you have questions or want a little bit of backup when we're getting ready for all of this, you can always reach out to our office. Our GEMS programs that are up for redesignation this year, we've got Ackworth and Noonan. You do not have to sign up during the regular accreditation cycle for an in-person assessment. I will reach out to you guys and give you all the information you need for that. Speaking of GEMS, for all of our classic communities that are looking to want to be considered for GEMS, We do consider those every 3 years during your in-person assessment. So once assessments are done, we will invite the programs that we think could be a contender for GEMS after that time. So if you want to be considered for GEMS and this is what you're looking for, we want to make sure that, that you have a really great presentation that is a reflection of all of your program's accomplishments. And when we say an incredible reflection, we mean to the T, you're telling your story really, really well. All of your monthly reporting numbers and your presentation lines up and you're not missing anything and you're telling your full, complete story. Your story needs to match your impact. Again, with those monthly reporting numbers, we want to see that you're telling that story really well, and that if you're reporting something on your monthly reports and you say you have this much investment, we want to see those projects in your presentation. We want to be able to see that you're demonstrating growth in program support. We want to see that you have growth in finances and overall downtown impact, and that can be an incremental increase, not just in the last 3 years, but maybe in the last 5 years. But we want to see that you are gaining momentum and really growing that program. We want to see stability, not only just in like the Main Street manager side of things, but also stability in leadership on the city side of things and in the board. We don't want to see a lot of turnover there because, as we all know, if there's a lot of turnover, you start losing momentum on the ground, and sometimes people have to relearn processes, and it just kind of slows the process down. We want to make sure that everyone is trained up and make sure that you're coming to conferences and that you're being that you're in the network and you're networking and you're learning things and you're making sure that you're getting all those training hours, but not only you, your board as well. And then the one thing that we really stress is that once we give this designation, we don't want to have to take it away. And that unfortunately can happen sometimes, but we just want to make sure that you are stable, you're working the plan, you're moving forward, that you're always going to be the best of the best. You've got things going and things are looking really great in your community.
Can I add something, Ellen, really quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't see you, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I had my hand raised, but yes.
Sorry.
So when we look at GEMS, also just keep in mind that the presentation is the point that we do identify kind of the next crop and that you'll be invited to apply. However, we consider our relationship and our interactions with you, in the past 3 years, 5 years, and the growth that we've seen. So the presentation is important, and we really want to make sure that it's a strong presentation. We're able to see that growth and that impact. But it's also taking into consideration like what we know from your program previously. So it's like the presentation is important, but it's also us knowing the information for the past 5 years as well, of kind of like where that growth and the stability, the planning. Planning is huge, strong planning in the community and support of a plan, a strong vision for the downtown. We like to say that GEMS communities are exceptional on the 4 points. And so it's sort of like design, organization, promotion, and economic development. You're doing incredible things at an extremely high level across all 4 points at a balanced approach. And also, if we had a manager that came to our website and they looked at our GEMS list and they picked any GEMS, like a blind choosing of a GEMS, if they go to that community, we want to feel, this is kind of like our like little internal test. We want to feel that if they ask that person, that manager, that director, that program, any question regarding downtown development, it would be like the cream of the crop answer, and that they're also living those principles within their program. If looking at yourself, you feel like that is not something that like you have those like learning points that you still have, that's probably like an indication of like these are the areas we need to work on a little bit more to be ready for GEMS. But that's really kind of one of our internal compasses. Is like, do we feel if somebody came and they, asked you a question about board development, would you be able to answer that? And would we be confident in your answer at that? And like, you're also not able to answer it, but also that you're living that and they can see it in your program. So that's kind of a little bit of an additional kind of insight into the GEMS process.
Thank you. All great points. Okay. Moving forward to the meeting locations this year, we're going to have 2 sessions in Noonan, so February 4th through the 6th, and then March 3rd through the 6th will be in Noonan, and then we'll be in Ackworth February 18th through the 20th. And I don't worry about like the signups. I will send that out to all of our presenting communities. And I'm going to send out like a little sign up sheet where you can pick your dates, you can pick your time, and whatever works best for you. And that registration will open on October 7th. So stay tuned for all that information.
And it is first come, first serve. So when
Yes.
it gets released, make sure you jump on it. Because if you're right next door to Noonan and you skip on that and that only slots for Ackworth are left, you're going to Ackworth. So as well as a member of your city leadership and a board representative. So make sure that when it was released, don't lollygag, sign up for it as soon as you can.
Right. But we are limited on space and time on those meeting dates. And so if you do happen to be late and have to come to a different community that's farther away, like we're not able to open up just extra days because we have the whole team coming. We have to coordinate meeting spaces and everything too. So yeah, definitely hop on early and sign up. All right, the self-assessment. We're going to talk about the tool first. Most of you have seen this. If you are not a brand new manager, you saw this last year. It's a community self-assessment tool. It looks a little different because this is National's version of this on this picture here. But this is going to be the tool that helps you recognize how your program aligns with the standards for accreditation. And if you feel like you don't align with them or the information in here is not aligning with what you guys are doing, it's a way for you to identify the areas that you need to focus on in the next year. And then real briefly, things to keep in mind for this tool, and I think Elizabeth's going to drop it into the chat. Things to keep in mind here is that in the standards, there is bullet points listed as things that you could be doing to meet the indicators in each standard. That is not an exhaustive list of what needs to be done to meet those indicators. Those are just examples. If you are meeting a few of those, or if you have examples that may not be exactly what's on this list, but you're doing something that you feel like you're meeting that indicator, you can certainly check that box. This is the tool to help you fill out the online form. This is not something that you need to turn in for the assessment process, but this is a tool for you to use locally with you and your board to fill out the online form. And I will say you just need to take a really holistic, honest look at your program and be honest in your answers on the online form as well. Because if you're not honest about things that are going on and you say, oh my gosh, we're the best, we're doing all these things really amazing, and then we come in through the assessment process and see that there's an issue, like we can't help you, if there's an issue happening before it gets just way too big and blows up. So be honest about it. We're not trying to get y'all in trouble. We're not trying to kick you out of the program. We want to make sure that we're helping you the best way that we can, and we can't help you if we don't know there's an issue. So just make sure you're being really honest and looking at yourself and looking at the program on your online assessment as well. Okay. So the self-assessment tool, the paper tool, includes baseline requirements for accreditation, which you're going to have to prove in the online form. There's a description of each standard, the key areas of focus and indicators with those examples. You're going to use this to fill out the online form, as I already said, but this is not required to be turned in. This is just for something for you to use so that you can fill out that online form. And then we're going to go over the self-assessment online. I will say also for that online, or for the tool for the paper form, if I think it's a really good idea for you to sit down with your board with this online or with the paper tool and sit down with the board and y'all go through the assessment, come up with your answers as a board, so that then the manager can come in and do the online self-assessment tool or the online self-assessment itself. Okay, so for the online self-assessment, I'm going to log in. So I'm going to give y'all some examples. We're going to do a couple of live things. But just so you know, there's baseline requirements for accreditation. So you have to upload a copy of your board roster. You should all have a board roster in your Dropbox folder. You have to upload a copy of a work plan. It's a requirement for us for accreditation as well. You should have a work plan on file with us. It should be in your Dropbox. You should be working that plan on the daily. You have to have copies of budgets, and then budgets is in parentheses there because you may have more than one source of funding for your program. Upload all of them. National really does like to see a diversified funding sources, so make sure that you're turning those in, and that we want to see that as well. Yeah, Elizabeth, I see you now. I like made y'all bigger.
So one other thing, and I know Ellen will go over this in a second when we get into the tool, because we're going to kind of do a demo really quick. But another thing that you will have to upload this year, which is new, is an impact report of your program's performance. And so for those of you, so your community impact report that we gave you at the beginning of the year that showed your 2023 numbers, you can upload that. That would fulfill that requirement. So we did work for you. We didn't realize what you were doing. So congratulations. That's a little bit of an easier lift. If you are a community that does your own, if you do your own infographic or report, please feel free to upload that in lieu of the community impact report that we give you. But if you do not have one, that community impact report will fulfill that requirement.
Yep. Thank you. And while we don't love scoring people 1 to 5, that's what National chose to do. So you are having to score yourself with a number score. Each indicator is 1 through 5. On the online form, you'll see it'll show you like the scoring matrix where you can decide which one you want to choose. You must have comments with each indicator, and this is going to be the time suck for everyone. Last year, when we were filling it out on your behalf, you didn't have to have every indicator having a comment. Fortunately, this year, no matter if you're scoring yourself 1, or if you score yourself a 5, or you score yourself a 3, you have to make a comment. And this is why I'm telling you, make sure you give yourself plenty of time. I wouldn't write a dissertation on each question. You can just say our program is fulfilling this requirement and maybe give like an example or two. I would say maybe ChatGPT might be your friend during this process as well. But make sure you're giving yourself enough time and you're not waiting until January 14th at 10 o'clock at night to fill out this form, because you will not have enough time. And then again, I can't stress it enough, use the self-assessment tool to help you fill out that online form. It will cut out a lot of time for you just to sit and read and like figure things out.
Also, if you're 3 or above, that's when we say that you don't have to write a dissertation. Kind of like you can, honestly, in our point of view, you can come up with a form and just sort of like copy and paste it for each one that you fill out. Again, provide an example if you feel like it, but we don't want it to be so overly burdensome for you. However, if you score yourself a 1 or a 2, we would like an explanation on why you feel like you're not meeting that indicator and how we can help you get to a point where you can be successful at that indicator. So we will ask you to elaborate a little bit more if you score yourself a 1 or a 2, but if you score yourself a 3 or above, don't go so crazy on it, because there's going to be, I think, roughly about 30 of these, 30 to 40 of these that you're filling out. So if you kind of go in hot out the gate to fill out like a couple paragraphs for each one, you will burn out by the end and it will take you forever. So we just want to make sure that we're getting some insight into why we're getting these scores, but really for 1 or 2 are the biggest focuses we want to see.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So here is your online dashboard. I have already logged in, so it didn't take me to the login screen, but when you click on the mainstreetreporting.org link, it will bring you to a login screen. The email, so if you're new, reach out to us, because they're not going to have your email in the system. But if you were a manager last year, you had your program under control last year, it will be your email and whatever password that National sent you last December, I believe. If you change that password, it's whatever you changed it to. If you have trouble logging in, there's I forgot my password link, but you can also reach out to our office and we can help you get logged in there. So once you get logged in, you're going to have a dashboard screen that looks a lot like this. Mine is a tiny bit different because we're coordinating program, and so I have a couple of extra things. Yes.
Ellen, I'm not seeing the website. Is anybody else seeing the website? Okay.
Okay, hang on. Okay, I know why. Let me change my screen share. Sorry. There, is that it?
Yes, perfect.
Sorry, I clicked on the link and then it didn't take you to what you needed to go to. So it didn't change my share. Okay, so here is your dashboard. Once you log in, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. I created Ellenville, Georgia, so that y'all could we could kind of walk through this together. This will be your home screen. You're going to see announcements from Main Street America. You're going to see notifications in the upper right-hand corner. So you may see, I have 3. There's nothing really important on there right now, but if there's no new notifications, that's where you'll see those. But you'll also get an email if there's new notifications that come through. So you're not going to have to check that regularly. If you need support, if you need help, if you got to put in a ticket, you go to the support request and just click get help and you can type it in. That will send us an email. But you can also just reach out to us directly. And then get started, you would click on the current year in the navigation right here on your left side. Click current year, and it's going to take you to your accreditation assessment. You can use this screen to navigate through all of your specific standards. But this is what it's going to look like when you get here. All right, so to complete the assessment, you could come to this overview page. I think there's another, like at the dashboard, there's somewhere where you can click like begin, but this has been the easiest thing I've seen is just to click the current year. So if you go to your overview, it's going to give you an introduction. It's going to explain how your grading works. So 1 is not being addressed. 2 means needs more effort. 3 is satisfactory progress. 4 means you've achieved success in that area, and then outstanding achievement for 5. Again, this is not an exhaustive list of examples. So if you feel like you're doing something that's not on that list and you've achieved it, use 3, 4, or 5. And then you can there's a sample assessment here, so you can like look at all of that stuff as well. I'm gonna go back here. So baseline requirements. This is going to be the first screen you get to. You're going to have to answer all of these questions fully before you can even move on to your standards. And this is where you're going to upload all of your information. So the first question, do you have a board of directors dedicated to leading the Main Street program? And then the question over here is yes or no. You click yes. And the LP means local program. That's what that stands for over here. So you say, yes, I have a board, because all of our Main Street programs have a board. You choose a file, and we're going to go over here to Ellenville because I created my little example community, and I'm going to click on my board roster and I'm going to open it, and it's going to upload. You're going to see that it's uploaded here, board roster. If you need to change it, you can delete it and change it. They do have sample files for examples. It looks a lot like ours. But again, we offer you that template in the Dropbox folder. You should have it in your Dropbox, and you should be able just to upload it here. No big deal. Question 2 is going to be a little tricky for y'all because it says communities over 5,000 in population must employ a full-time director. Georgia has a different requirement for this. So this is the minimum requirement across the nation. We require you we don't base it on population, we base it on accreditation status. So startups, affiliates are that part-time, and then classic gyms are full-time. So yes, you do have a full-time program director. Yes, the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Identified transformation strategies on here. This is going to be probably a little different because they do offer example transformation strategies. I feel like the ones that we use in Georgia are a little bit more comprehensive. The list is better. I feel like it covers what we're looking for better because these are really just more one-word answers. My suggestion, and I think Elizabeth's too, on this is to choose other and type it in. And you can put in probably all 3 right here. So if we wanted to say, business activation, if I can spell, and recruit, and then maybe type in, I don't know, placemaking, and then I don't know, give me one. Listen, my mind's blanking.
Maintaining authenticity.
Maintaining. Why do you have to make me spell hard
I
words?
just realized that I showed you the word.
Okay, and so you just type those in. And then they ask for a date that the board of directors adopted that. Hopefully you adopted those at your last board retreat or strategic planning retreat. Put the date of that in there. So click yes. If you have it's going to ask you to choose a file. Put your work plan in there because that has your transformation strategies on it. Type them in. Put them in if you have an other, type those in. Put the date that they have been adopted by the board, and you can move on. That's question number 3. And then it's going to ask for a work plan. So specifically, this one is about your work plan. Do you have a detailed work plan that it aligns with the transformation strategies? Click yes, because your work plan should have this. You choose your file, work plan, and then it's in there. I put it in there twice. If you need to delete, that's what it looks like too. Oh, it deleted both of them. Let's do that again.
I will say, having done 90 of these last year, this page can be kind of glitchy. So just be forewarned that you might upload something, it doesn't show up, you upload it again, it doesn't show up, you upload it again, and then 3 show up all of a sudden.
Yeah,
so
I just uploaded it and it was 2. So
yeah, or you upload one and something else on the page deletes. And so it's a little glitchy. We have no control over that. But when you're filling out this page, it's not you, it's them. So just be aware of that.
Okay, so moving on to question 5, a dedicated budget for your program. You have yes. I'm going to delete this file and see what it does. All right, so dedicated budget, you want to upload your budget. So I have a Main Street budget sitting right here. I'm going to open it and it's going to upload it. If you have more than one, certainly upload more than one. Demonstrated support from the municipality. This can be leadership participation, funding, in-kind donations, or philosophical support. Yes or no. Reinvestment statistics are reported as required by the coordinating program. This is your monthly reporting. Make sure you get it done. Yes, if you've done all your monthly reporting. You have to be a member of Main Street America. Make sure that your membership is up to date. They will not give you accreditation if you do not have a membership. Click yes. You don't have to provide documentation for that, but I mean, they know that you're not a member if you're not a member. And then an annual report, infographic, press release, or other documentation to explain the progress of your program last year. This is where you can turn in our impact report that we offer you for the last year. If you do your own infographic or press release or some sort of documentation stating the program progress last year, certainly choose that. I'm going to turn in Blackshear's impact summary because that's the one I downloaded right there. And so you would click yes there, upload your file, and move on. This looks a little bit different for y'all because you're not a coordinating program, so ignore that right side of things. But you're going to have to make a comment here, and I just typed in already, our program has been successful this year. You might want to be a little bit more eloquent than me, and I promise you we will be more eloquent than ditto on the comment. But I just wanted to be able to click through and make sure that y'all could get to standard 1 here. So this is what the baseline requirements looks like. This is what it's going to look like when you upload them, and just make sure you're clicking yes, uploading those files, and moving on. Okay, standard 1. I'm not going through every standard, by the way. We're just going to go through this one. So this is what it looks like when you get to standard 1. It's going to give you what the standard is, what the focus areas are, and your key indicators. You have to click on these 3 key indicators because they're all the question. So you click on it and it expands it. And then the question is, Main Street has developed partnerships and collaborations with local governments that demonstrate shared responsibilities. for the district's revitalization and its program. Examples could include participation in strategy development and planning, collaborations in the implementation of programming or work plans, monetary or non-monetary resources for the program, engagement of elected officials and or staff, promoting the district, and the district revitalization. You give yourself a score here, 1 through 5. And then if you can't remember what the scoring scale is, you can click on scoring scale up here to remind yourself like which is which. And then choose your score. I'm going to give myself a 3. Our program is meeting this requirement. Again, you might want to be a little bit more eloquent on this, certainly if you're giving yourself a 1 or a 2. But you get the gist. It will not let you click through until you have typed in the notes section here. Again, coordinating program side of things, will certainly be more eloquent than there. But we do give you a score too. So we look at your score, we look at your comments, and then when we are making our comments to give accreditation on our side, we look at your score, we give you a score, then we will make our own comments. And you will get a copy. Once all of this is like uploaded and turned in, you will get a copy of this form when we do our side of things. All right, so indicator 2, same thing, give yourself a score, type in your answer. And then we're gonna say, you're great, ditto. And you would click through. And so that's the gist of that. I don't want to it's very like rinse and repeat as far as all the questions go. Use your form, make sure you're reading all the questions, and then once it'll tell you, like once you kind of get through all of these, it'll tell you if you're complete on your standards. And then we'll get to additional information because I'm going to hop through this real quick. It's going to ask you the date of your last on-site visit, and that means from our office. So I just threw a date in there, and then they want to know the year that your program was started. If we have been, we try to make a priority to get to all of our communities that are doing the in-person assessments at least that year or 2 before. We try to make sure we try to make sure to get to all of your communities one way or the other. If you can't remember when the exact date was for our visit, we keep a record of that. So just reach out to our office as well, and we can tell you when that was. All right, I'm gonna go back to current year so I can get to the summary here. You would click through. Yeah, okay, sorry. The summary will give you your baseline requirements and a summary of all of your answers. So you answered yes to all of these. It'll give you your cumulative average score. So it'll tell you like what your cumulative scores are for every standard and indicator. You can scroll all the way down to here. It's going to show you that you did turn in your additional information. And then when you get to this part, you would complete your assessment. This is really for us. So you wouldn't see this complete assessment button here, but you would see the submit button. And then once you submit it, it's like, congratulations, you're done. You don't need to submit anything else. It'll send you an email and a copy of what you've turned in, and then it will notify us that you've turned in your assessment. Once you turn it in, just make sure once you've submitted this application, once you turn it in, you cannot change your answers. And we don't have access to be able to do that for you either. So just make sure that your answers are correct and that you are satisfied with the answers that you've given before you hit submit. Okay. And then that's it. I'm going to change my share. No.
Ellen, I have a question.
Okay. Hey, Ginger.
Hi, good morning. When we're going through this and we have to stop at some point, will it save and we
Yes. Yeah, you can certainly it'll save your progress through it, and then you can log out and log back on. And once you go back to that, here, I'll show you again.
So there's no save button. We can just, once we click on something, we
Yeah.
can, okay.
Correct. Yeah, it'll show you, sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing. It will show you, I'm trying to get back to this page. So once you have, it'll save your progress, but if you have to log out and come back to it, if you go back to that current year, it'll show you how far you've gotten in your progress. And if it's 30% done, it'll say 30%. And then you can click on that one and get to it and complete your answers there. So you don't have to sit down and do it in one fell swoop. Any more questions on the online form before I move on? I know that was a lot of stuff I just threw at you.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey,
Sorry
Rosemary.
hey, Ellen. As a startup last year, I didn't have a login, and I think Elizabeth sent me the form. Is that the same this year, or will I be able to use this platform?
As a
So,
startup,
yeah,
as a
go ahead,
startup
Elizabeth.
last year, it wasn't required and for national, so we didn't send it to you. So we didn't put you on the platform this year. It's still not required, but we're wanting startups to do it just because it's, as you know, Rosemary, as a startup, it's kind of like it's practice.
Oh, yeah,
So
I'm all for doing it.
yeah, so this year startups will have it. So we'll set you up a profile and you should get notification of the login information. But last year, you're correct, you did not have one.
And so since I probably don't have an impact report because we were new in 2023, I can
Correct.
just use my annual report that I'm doing internally.
That you're doing for your local program?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, Lucretia.
Good morning, Ellen. How are you this morning?
Good.
I understand that this is the requirement of national, and I guess my gut just makes me feel that I should be doing more for locally for Georgia. So I want to make sure I understand that correctly. So the platform that we have normally utilized for the accreditation process for DCA, we're only having to execute the completion of a checklist. Is that right? Can you share that checklist? I guess I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anything on the table.
Yes, absolutely. We will have the checklist with the affidavit and all the stuff in your Dropbox. I'll have it on that resources tab. It's already there, and I will send it out to everyone when it's time for us to start like really working on assessments. Probably this week or early next. I'll send out an email and just give everyone like baseline requirements, their checklist, and all of the information they need for assessment. So yeah, you'll get one.
Okay, and I'm sure if we are missing information or if you need additional information, you ladies will let us know that, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions?
Yeah,
Hey,
Carly. Sorry.
Carly.
Hey, okay, I'm in my Dropbox and this always confuses me and it's probably just me, but it's 2025 that I go to because I'm turning it in January, but it's for 2024. Is that correct?
So it's your 2025 assessment based off of your 2024 information. Yes.
So I click on 2025.
Correct. Yeah. I know it's
Okay.
confusing, but when the date that you're turning it in, just think about it this way. When you're turning in your assessment in January of 2025, but it's based off of your 2024 information. So the year that you are turning your assessment in is the assessment year that you're currently in. Does that make sense?
Yes. And when I go to that, currently I've got annual assessment checklist 2024 and 2025, but you're going to put the new one in there?
Have we?
Oh, no.
We have not updated Dropbox yet for the assessment folder for individualized programs. From this point on, it's kind of like your job to do that a little bit. We're going to handhold you again this year because we have new documentation for national. We're planning on getting all that stuff squared away by the 7th. October 7th is kind of our internal deadline to have all the new information in Dropbox. And so when those assessment, the email for both the signups for the assessment in-person presentations are going to have all this assessment information and links to the documents that we've shared today in there. We're also going to send out an email to non-presenting communities that's going to have all this information as well. And that's the point that Dropbox will be nice and fit and have all the information that you need. And then any other questions, and we'll link a bunch of stuff, have a bunch of informations, deadlines, all that type of stuff in those emails. And then if you have any other questions from that point on, just schedule a one-on-one call with us so we can best able to serve you. Does that clear it up a little?
Not really, because right now mine says annual assessment checklist filled 2024, and it says based on 2023 information, but it's in 2025.
Okay.
But you're
well,
gonna fix that.
We'll fix it. We'll
Yeah.
fix
Okay.
it. Don't worry about that part.
Because we haven't created,
I created the new checklist, but I didn't upload it to Dropboxes. So I'm not sure how that got into your Dropbox folder, Carly.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel like this is.
It just
Okay,
landed
I'll
here
just wait
somehow.
till October,
That sounds good,
probably November anyways, but.
to be fair. Yeah. Okay, any more questions before we move on the online assessment form? We got about half another presentation to go, and I'm hoping it'll answer some questions too. All right, I'm gonna move on. Okay, so I'm gonna change my screen share back to this. Share. All right, so frequently asked questions. For the self-assessment and accreditation platform, I think we went over how to access my accreditation platform. You use that email address that was sent with that automated welcome from National. It was sent in December of last year, so 2023. If you didn't get it, reach out to us. We can help you log in, no problem. Can I request additional user accounts? No, they only allow one for each program. And that really, I think, is more for continuity, and if somebody goes in and changes an answer and then that wasn't supposed to be changed, like people freak out, so they just want one user per account. Who completes the self-assessment process in the form? You as the manager will fill out this online self-assessment. The online tool or the self-assessment tool can be filled out and talked about between you and your board and your city leadership, but only you will fill out that online form. Will board members be able to use the accreditation platform to provide input on the self-assessment? No, they can't. They can't really provide input on the self-assessment, but that's why we recommend that you use a board meeting or some other time to discuss their input and final scores on the actual paper self-assessment tool form. How is the program score determined? A program's final score is going to be determined by the coordinating program, so that's our office, and it'll be like an average or it'll mix in with your answers and our answers, and then we will give the final assessment there and your accreditation. And then we recommend you for accreditation to National. Do all programs have to meet the baseline requirements? Yes, you do. If you're going to get accredited through Main Street America, you do have to meet all of their baseline requirements. And then can I mail in the form? Unfortunately, no, you have to turn this in online for all of our analog people. We're just going to have to figure it out. And if we need to hop on a Zoom call or something with you, we're happy to do that as well and walk you through that process. Okay. So moving on from online form and online assessment, we're going to talk about presenting and non-presenting communities. For our non-presenter classic and GEMS communities, you're going to submit all of your documentation. You're going to submit that online self-assessment. You're going to submit all of your monthly reports on FormStack. You must complete and sign that annual assessment affidavit checklist and upload that to your Dropbox. And then all the other documentation in your checklist needs to be uploaded to Dropbox by January 15th, and it is based on 2024 information. For our presenters, you're going to pick the time, location, and date that works best for you for your in-person presentation. That's about 2 hours in length. We do require you to bring not only yourself, but someone from the board. Usually, if you can swing it and they can swing it, your board chair, but any board member will do. and someone who is in a supervisory capacity, on the like city side of things. So mayor, a city council person, your city manager, community development director, if you fall under that department, just whoever you consider your supervisor in that role. I know that not everybody is set up exactly the same. So if you have specific questions and you're not like part of a city department, certainly reach out to us and we can make suggestions on who to bring. But definitely a board member, and definitely somebody who is either from the city or in some sort of supervisory capacity of you. After the presentation is complete, we will review your Dropbox. We'll go over the assessment and ask questions if we need to do some follow-up questions, and then just have a discussion. We'll go over your impact report as well at that time, and then that part will be finished. But before that, all of your documentation is going to be due by January 15th, but you do not have to have that presentation that you're planning to do in February or March turned in until the day of. We do like to have a copy of it just in case there's some sort of technical difficulty. If you can just drop it in your Dropbox, the day before or the morning of, that's fine. But just make sure that all of the actual Dropbox documentation is turned in by January 15th. We will provide you with a PowerPoint presentation for that template. It contains all the questions that we want you to answer as far as the standards go. You can customize this to fit your branding for your program. The only thing we ask is that you don't change the order of it or alter any of the questions or content. So just, you can make it pretty. It's as pretty as you want it to be, match up your brand, be as creative as you want, but just please don't change the information. We've got, 100 programs to do assessments for, but about 20 programs to do in-person assessments for, and there's a lot of working parts there. So continuity for us kind of helps us keep our minds straight when we're looking at assessment presentations. So if we can just don't change the content for us, please. You can keep those presentations to about an hour in length. We love pictures and graphics and visuals and videos. We want to see all of that. We, just like you, we don't want to get talked at and droned on for an hour and look at words on a screen. If you do like videos, which we also love, like externally link them so that it doesn't suck up space on either a jump drive or a computer or something like that. And it will not email well either. So and sometimes it's hard to load. So just make sure that if you do have a video, we love them, just externally link them.
And also make sure they're an appropriate link.
Yeah, like we don't want an hour's worth of a video for sure.
Or like,
we want to hear
I would say like 3 minutes ish is probably the sweet spot. We've had some videos that are like 10 minutes. And so make sure that it's an appropriate length when you're looking at a video.
Right. Yeah. We want to hear you talk about your program too, not just a video. And then ask yourself when you're making this, when you're preparing to present this presentation, that was a lot of P's. Does your story match up with your impact? Make sure that the things that you're reporting on throughout the year match up with the things that you're talking about in your presentation, and make sure that you're doing an incredible story, tell you an incredible job to tell your story of your program. Okay, we've talked a lot about Dropbox. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Dropbox. All of you guys have been walked through Dropbox some. We did that swap over last year. We did a deep dive into it. I'm not going to do it this year. If you need a deep dive, I'm happy to hop on a Zoom call with you and walk you through Dropbox. But here's what you need to know. As you all know, as managers, you are required to keep information up to date. You need to keep that historical information. We don't want you to delete it. There is an archive folder in there for you to put older files. If you don't know what it is, don't delete it, archive it. If you do not have a well-organized Dropbox, or you don't have all of that information in there, that will impact your accreditation. And again, I cannot stress it enough. If you need help, ask. Do not wait until the last minute. January 15th is holiday time. Our team likes to take time off too and spend time with our families. So don't wait until the day before it's due to start asking questions. Make sure that you're looking at this and planning for it. And if you need help, we are all happy to hop on a call with you, but just make sure you're doing it in a timely manner. Okay, so resources. Finding resources. Hopefully you are all familiar with georgiamainstreet.org. And I'm going to click on that link and I'm going to take you to our website. Hopefully you've seen this before and you are well acquainted. But for resources, when you're looking for information for accreditations, you're going to go to our website, georgiamainstreet.org. You're going to come over here to the resources tab and click on resource library. It's the first thing you see when you click on resource library. You don't have to filter or do anything. It's at the top of the page. So 2025 annual assessment presentation schedule and template is for our presenting communities. Annual assessment checklist affidavit is for our non-presenting. So I'm going to click on the presenting communities, and this is what it looks like. It's going to give you complete information on what we're looking for your assessments this year. Who you should bring, who we will bring, if you have questions, and then the meeting dates and locations. This is where you will be able to find the registration link if you're looking for it and lost an email that I sent you. If you scroll down, there's a link right here to the annual assessment PowerPoint presentation template. We want to make sure that you know what to cover. So there's what it should cover. And then here's some example presentations. All right, so backing out of this and going to the other tab, you would click on for the non-presenting communities checklist. There's a link to it. There's the online self-assessment there. There's your checklist there, and there is the self-assessment tool link there. And then here's a list of what we're looking for in your Dropbox. Signed assessment checklist, your MOU, your annual work plan, your board roster, agendas and minutes from meetings, your training log, your budgets, organizational chart, bylaws, vision and mission statement, and your boundaries. And that is what we're looking for there. Okay, I'm going to go back to our presentation. All right, moving on, talking about probation. Yes,
Can I say
Elizabeth?
one thing really quick, Ellen, because it just came to my mind. If you are a new manager and you are like, oh shoot, I'm not sure if our membership is up to date. Before you go onto the National Main Street website to renew your membership, please email our office so that we can send you the membership number for your city. We've had an issue in the past couple of years of multiple memberships being duplicated for cities because of kind of that communication between new managers inheriting a program and not realizing what the current membership number was. So if you're a new manager or an older manager that like kind of hasn't had to do this and for some reason it's lapsed, if you need to go through that process, please email our office for your membership number so we can confirm it for you and help you get in contact with National. Cool.
Okay. I know we're running out of time here, so I'm going to kind of breeze through this a little bit, but probation, it's an ugly word. Nobody likes to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it briefly. The probation is going to be temporary 1-year designation that's going to be applied to a program who does not meet all of the standards or something's just not operationally right in your program. Probation is kind of we see there's a problem. We think you can work through it in a year and nobody else is going to know about you being on probation. It's just a way for it to flag our office and all of us know that maybe we just need to give you a little bit more attention throughout the year. So if you happen to go on probation for whatever reason, if it's not turning in your monthly reports, if it's something else, just know that we're not blasting it throughout the Main Street Network world. It's just for our office. It's just for us to know. Nobody else will know. What triggers it? You may not be able to meet assessment standards. You may not be completing all your monthly reports, and we're slapping your hand for that. If there's a surprise change to the program staff or the board, or if the board, if there's continuing issues with program staff or board. Consistent manager turnover will flag it as well, or any other action or situation that's not representative of the Main Street community.
And any violation of the MOU.
Any violation of the MOU, correct? All right, so how do we go from this, which I feel like a lot of you are looking at the computer like this right now, because I can see a few of you, this. Are you ready? This is what you need to ask yourself. Is everyone Main Street 101 and DDA 101 certified? That includes you and your board members. If the answer is yes, you move on. Has your board had their 2 hours of annual training this year if they did not have to take Main Street 101 or DDA 101? If the answer is yes, you move on. Are you up to date with all your monthly reporting? If you don't know the answer to that question, reach out to me. Is all your documentation loaded to Dropbox and up to date as of today? And then turn in your annual network salary and program survey, which we have not sent out yet, so just don't freak out about that one. But we will send it out probably the next few weeks.
And DDA certification is only required if your board also serves as your DDA.
Correct, yes. Okay, so you ask yourself these questions, and then you do this. You do an initial assessment of your Dropbox folder. If you need to make updates or archive information, you do that. You download a copy of your self-assessment guide and annual assessment checklist. You upload the supporting documentation to your Dropbox. You double check about those monthly reports because they're super important. You have your board chair and your supervisor sign that affidavit and upload a copy to your Dropbox folder. And then you complete your online assessment. All of that is to be done by January 15th. And then after January 15th, once you hit submit, we're here and we're done. Yay. And then you can relax and celebrate. And that's it. And then you should be annual assessment ready. I'm sure there's a ton of questions.
Okay, I'm gonna go offline off the assessment because there's so many things that we've been trying to get from, every source we can get it, and it's just difficult. And I had a question on incentives and I put it out on the Main Street Facebook managers page last night, but I really kind of need a quick answer. So I don't know on the resources the best way to get the data. So I had a list: Georgia Cities Foundation, Green Communities Fund, Georgia Cities Foundation Revolving Loan Fund. And it's been my understanding, and it's not through anybody that's in our program, but through another conversations, that the Georgia Cities Foundation Revolving Loan Fund was not, they had run through their money. But my question is, if they have either of these on the Georgia Cities, will they have money for next year? So in other words, do they still exist? And if they do, will they have money? Is it your experience on the state historic preservation tax incentives and the federal historic preservation tax incentives that our Georgia cities are getting those? And I just need, so I can set up our package, because we don't have I have nothing from history. So I just kind of need to create something.
So the DCA DRLF is still up and running. The Georgia Cities Foundation, right now, it is maxed out on capacity. However, for it to know if it's going to be eligible for next year, you'll have to email them when it'll be able to come back online, because they'll have that information. For the tax credits, yes, they are widely used across the state. As long as your downtown is a national registered district, the properties within it are eligible.
Okay, but the green, and I know that the green one was there, but has anybody gotten the green one in Georgia lately? Do you know? The Georgia Cities Green, it says Georgia Cities Foundation Green Communities Fund. Is that something that any of the downtowns have gotten that you're aware of?
Yes, but it tends to be very cyclical. And so when they have money, it's up and running. When it's not, it's not. So that's, again, I would contact them directly to see if it's something that's currently funded.
Yeah, I would certainly reach out to Cindy or Chris and just make sure that that they've got that stuff
Chris
going on.
messaged yesterday, but and see, that's the other thing. I don't really know, I guess, on y'all's role. I just thought this was something. So I just don't always know the right questions to ask, but I think I'll figure it out as we go. Because I think right now, the way I might work with you most on is the whole assessment thing. So thank you.
Hey, Lucretia.
Along the lines of incentives, I know that CPACE is a new tool that has been approved by the state of Georgia this year. Do you know if DCA is going to be providing any technical assistance and or training as it relates to that?
I don't, Elizabeth, do you know much about it? I don't know that much about it yet.
I was honestly answering a question in the chat, so I did not hear the question. I apologize. Email us, Lucretia, and we'll try to get the information for you. Is that okay? Because I know we're running short on time.
Yes.
And we'll stick
and really-
around after to answer
Yeah.
questions and stuff too. So like y'all don't have to hop off, but we'll be on here for a while.
And Andrew, just to answer your question, as far as the DDA 8-hour mandated training, so when you do the yearly authority registration, the DDA will be in violation of that because they haven't received the training, and so essentially it'll be flagged. If you're trying to do any projects that requires you to be in good standing, you essentially will not be in good standing.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have all new board members, right? And they need to do the Main Street 101, and they have to do 2 hours of training.
No, your Main Street 101 for the first year, it'll count for that 2 hours of training. So yeah, so if they're all new, Main Street 101 would count for that. It's for the ones who have been there longer.
Okay,
So every year after that, they'll need those 2 hours.
thank you. Good to know. Thank you.
And Valinda, your board only needs DDA 101 if it's also serving as your DDA.
Okay. We'll stick around for questions. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know it's after 11. And I thank y'all for your time and your attention this morning. And like I said, we'll stick around and y'all just have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you soon. Hopefully we'll see some of y'all at Mobilize in a couple weeks.
And I know it's a lot of information, but we will be sending out additional resources, and do not hesitate to reach out to us because we know it's a big change this year and we want to be able to make sure to help y'all in any way we can.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
I have a question, if y'all don't
Okay.
mind, about training. So we have a board retreat scheduled for October 24th, and we're incorporating our 2 hours of training into that since we'll have everybody there. But my understanding has always been it's fine for us to determine what we feel is appropriate as managers in training. So if we like bring someone in who's not, because what we realize we need as a board is with this impending national park designation, that we really need some, I guess sensitivity training is the best way to describe it, but like understanding sacred sites and that sort of thing, like how to talk about this kind of history and that, so that will count, correct?
Yeah. We always say anything that you count as training for you to be able to complete your job, we would count as training for you and for your board. So yeah, I would definitely count that as training for your board.
Okay, great. And then I have one other question about the community transformation strategies. I know select other and then fill it in, but ours are, they're really specific to what we're doing in Macon. They're not as much like the overarching things like business development or things like that. That's still fine, right?
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
They put a list out that was kind of ambiguous for the rest of the nation. And we were like, can we add our own? And they kind of said no. So that's why you've got the other tab. And so and type it in there. And then you'll have it in your work plan too. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So just to confirm that the DDA 101 training is mandatory.
If your board serves as a DDA.
Okay, so that
If
means
it's just a Main Street board and it does not serve as a DDA, it is not mandatory.
no, they're both. So they need to do that and then to do the basic training.
And so DDA 101, so it's basically a DDA training. So if they've taken basic training, DDA training with Carl Vincent, that's essentially Main Street 101. So they just need their 8 hours of required DDA training by state statute. Our DDA 101 serves that purpose. But if they've received the DDA training from a different entity, whether it's Dan McCrae and his sidebar conferences, Carl Vincent, then that counts as well. It's just DDA 101 is the product that we developed to be able to serve that need for communities.
Okay, they can do that online, because I know I did that online.
Right.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
I have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, hey, Amanda. I know
So
you're getting thrown into this. I probably need to give you like a new manager call and
Yeah,
help you
so
work you through some stuff.
yeah, so everything's definitely in limbo right now. Like, Shelly's position hasn't been filled. Obviously, they're doing interviews this week. But as of now, like we're just kind of in a lot of limbo, obviously with our DDA as well, and the lawsuit that's going on with that. So there's just a lot of like unknowns right now, especially with me being like new to not only K Road, not only new to Georgia, but also new to Main Street in general, and city, all the things. So definitely like if there's any kind of Zoom we can do or any kind of, or whoever gets the position, can do like with you guys, that would be really helpful. And then moving forward with so what happened is the mayor basically, did you heard about what happened? Shelley kind of briefed you on what happened with their DDA.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last that we've heard was probably like early August. So I don't know if there's any new developments.
There's none. Like, so our ODDA is in the pursuit of suing the city right now because of everything that's going on. But the mayor in the meantime has come up with his own DDA to kind of run things, I guess, in the meantime, or he thinks forever. I don't know. So there hasn't been anything like definite about it. Like no one's been like, nothing's been done with that new DDA board, I guess is what I should say. But eventually it will be, and whoever's in Shelley's position will need to be, I guess, run that DDA like a new board until this lawsuit gets filtered out, I guess, correct? Like everything would just need to be like, this is a new board and new standards and whatever. And then if the lawsuit like comes, the old way, whatever, it swings to the old DDA board, then obviously I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'll get
Probably
you
just need
set
to
up
have a
with
good
the,
conversation
I think we'll
offline
just have
on
a
this one.
one-on-one call so we
Yeah.
can kind of like get the most
Flesh it all out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's got a lot of moving parts to it, and we probably need to just like sit down with you, Amanda, and figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and whatever's best for all of that, because I mean, obviously all this is like very overwhelming right now because I don't know
Mhm.
anything, so but yeah, so if we can just plan that or wait till next week and maybe there's a decision made. But I honestly think that position will go to me, like to be very clear, but but moving forward, I definitely need help.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We will set up a time. Let's
Okay.
just set up a time to talk.
Okay. I figured so. I just wanted, to kind of just make sure that you guys knew that any help
Yeah.
would be appreciative.
Yeah.
But okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
I had a question.
Hey.
Do the like the October 8th meetup, does that count as the one of the 2-hour trainings?
Yes.
Okay. I'm up to date, I think. I was just curious. How about these Zoom calls?
Yes.
Do they? Okay. And
So you got your 2 hours in spades.
excuse me?
I said
You
you
got
have your 2 hours in spades.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Do you keep up with that, or is that up to our manager to keep up with that? As far as our training hours?
So
It's up to
Alicia will
Alicia.
keep up with it. Yeah, so we provide a form for her to fill out, like an Excel spreadsheet that she keeps track of her own training, but yours as well. So whenever you do something, or if you sit on these calls or go to a regional meetup, just let her know, and then she can add it to that form and it get turned in.
You're talking about my manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alicia.
Okay. Great. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Who else?
I see y'all hanging out.
Melinda's like, nope.
No, she's like, no, I'm done. I just wanted to hear. Well, sometimes you learn more from people's questions than you do, other stuff.